Vincent says, seen a lot of centrist types talk like right wingers were a principled pro free speech movement up until a week ago. Is that not revisionist history? It is now. You have no reason at this point to take, they don't believe in anything. Like, they don't believe in anything. I mean, there's some people, of course, who take things seriously, but as a political movement at the top of the food chain, they don't believe in anything other than the wielding of their own power. You don't have to believe any of this shit. We saw this. You know, it's kind of funny, man. Being in sports media, we actually got a clue into how this would go. Remember, left wing media was dominant, especially online in the early days of the 2010s. And there was a pushback at the time from Republican or GOP or right wing media or even just right wing folks saying, hey, like, we believe there should be less politics in sports and blah blah blah, and like what we believe is that's an ideal way to do this. And in fact, Clay Travis even wrote a book mirroring the Michael Jordan quote, like, even Republicans buy sneakers too. It's the title of the book is something like that. And the whole point of the book is like, look at how Jordan remained neutral to sell as many shoes as possible. This is a better vision. But then, like, that's really not what they wanted. What they wanted was just to assert their vision. Like, and okay, like, but which would be one thing, like, hey, we just want to assert our vision, but they dress it up in this like, oh, well, we're not, we're the pro free speech crowd. You're not any of that shit. You did not want less politics in sports. You're not pro free speech. You're not anti censorship. You're not any of those things. They're none of those things. They just believe in their worldview and their right to govern, and their political adversaries do not have that right, or at a bare minimum, do not have as many rights to do that. It's why they're trying to gerrymander. It's why they're going into blue cities. It is why they kneecapped the incoming, or now he's there, but the governor of North Carolina. They do this shit over. It's the gerrymandering in Wisconsin. It's over and over and over and over and over again. You do not need to. You can, if you want to engage. There are some people you can engage on these terms because they believe in these sincerely. But the very top of the food chain of this political movement, they only believe in wielding their own power. They were talking about, JD Vance was talking a week ago about how it's horrible that people are celebrating, Charlie Kirk's death. And I certainly share the sentiment that that's never a thing that I'm going to be listed as doing. And then a week later, he's at her saying, if you're in those North Venezuelan waters, you might not want to go fishing because you're extrajudicial killing people. Like, which is it? Which is it? They don't believe in shit. They don't believe in anything. You can't take any of it seriously. Nothing. It's not real. It doesn't matter. They don't believe in fuck all. They only believe in we're up here and you're down there, and that's the way that we would like to keep it. That's it. That's the fucking ball game. And anybody else telling you anything other than that is either lying to you or themselves or both. But there's no other fucking interpretation possible at this point. They don't give a fuck other than that's it. That's the fucking ball game at this point. So there are people, to answer your question, still mired in this false reality of like, well, didn't they make all these arguments? You can call them hypocrite till you're blue in the face. It's going to do nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You're wasting your fucking time. The only thing you can do is there's a few people out there with enough of an audience that can still be persuaded. You want to persuade them. The rest of them simply have to be defeated politically. That's it. There's no other argument to be made at this point. They don't give a fuck. Look, a suggestion for some solidarity in response to the FCC commissioner's threat that seems to have precipitated the removal of Jimmy Kimmel. Time to cancel our ESPN Plus subscriptions. Well, believe me, that would be a fun thing for me to do. We were going to do it anyway with the UFC Paramount deal. Well, I have to keep it because, I mean, I wanted to cancel, but I don't think I can. I have to keep it. And maybe their new service will be better anyway, but I guess we'll see. But maybe a mass sign-off will at least register some dissent. Of course, when we move to Paramount, we are just as implicated in supporting media complicity with our authoritarian government. That's a conversation for another day. This is why. Okay, I saw something. I read this today. In 1983, 50 media companies owned 90% of the media market. Okay. Do you know what that number is today? So it was 50 companies owned 90% in the US. What is that number today? Anyone take a guess? The answer is 5. 5 media companies. They have us by the balls, right? And I realize that ESPN is more than a media company. It's several things, but part of what it is that. Like, of course, everyone has options. Of course, everyone has choices. But if you cover combat sports for a living, PFL is still there. Potentially boxing will return there. It's not so easy for folks who like have a necessity to be able to have the choice to get rid of it. More to the point, you know, Paramount appears to be, and the Ellison family, firmly embedded in the larger Trump world ecosystem at this point. And, you know, the regime allies is the best way to put that. And, you know, so going from ESPN Plus to that is, there's no real boycott. I mean, that's not a thing. Now, again, you're talking about differently for protesting or canceling your subscription for a different reason. But, you know, Disney knows that they have people by the balls. You know, they know that like their stranglehold on entertainment is so vast that, I mean, here's the problem with and I'm one of them. There are people who are fucking horrified by what has happened to Jimmy Kimmel. But the problem is, like, Jimmy Kimmel, like, I can't believe I'm being forced to defend fucking Jimmy Kimmel, whose show I've never watched, and to the extent I've seen clips, has never interested me in watching any further whatsoever. Like, if I'm pissed about anything, it's partly that these fucking clowns are making me defend Jimmy goddamn Kimmel, who I don't want to defend because his show is terrible. You know, it's a terrible ass show. Like, I'm not gonna miss it in that sense. I never watched it. Like, I can't miss some shit I didn't see. And I suspect that, like, that's a key part of what's happening here. Like, are people who have kids in particular going to stop going to Disney World or watching Star Wars programming or Marvel or any of those kinds of things, you know, over what is essentially the firing of Jimmy Kimmel? I mean, it's obviously much more than that, but like a sort of a bare bones version. Are they going to do that? No, they're not going to do that. And there's just not a lot of alternatives in media to go to at this point that are not particularly aligned with one ideological direction, or at least under the thumb of an ideological direction. So, like, it's out of the frying pan into the fire. I just cannot see there being any kind of I would be surprised if there was an ESPN pushback or Disney more broadly. I'd just be surprised. I just don't see a groundswell for this kind of thing yet, because in part, it's like, who's going to miss Jimmy Kimmel, you know? Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Please consider giving this a thumbs up as well as liking it. And if you want more of my politics coverage, go to the link in the description box for my Substack. Yes, go to my Substack. We might put a QR code on the screen here as well. Tons of exclusives, interviews, chat functionality with a whole different community over there. Tons of fun stuff. Give it a look.